The power of the dark side.
What is up, everyone? It is me again. Now, I know I haven't been too active on this channel because, holidays, Christmas, there's a whole heap of build-up of stuff going on, and I just haven't had that time to do a lot of cosplay and makeup stuff as I had promised previously. So I do apologize in regards to that, but today's video is going to be my review of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So firstly, this sort of segment here is not going to be spoilering anything for anyone out there, because I know, like myself, I didn't want to see any spoilers. I actually didn't get the chance to go to the premiere night, which I usually do, like, basically since, I don't know, when I started merking, I always went to, the premiere nights. I didn't this time, because, as you guys know, the merc is currently in rebuild. I had my cast recently taken off, and I just didn't have that, time to get out there and do it, and also with health-wise stuff, I didn't feel like it was right just yet. So firstly, I want to say, without any spoilers, of course, that it was an extremely good movie, and I highly recommend people to go and see it. Yes, I know there has been a lot of bad-mouthing about this particular installment, people really didn't like it, but when I do get to the spoiler part, I'll actually talk a little bit more as to why I think it's really good. Yet again, without saying too much, which is really hard because it's Star Wars, and you just want to burst out with all this amazing flavour of spoilers, but there was a really great combination of humour as well as, action. There was a lot of, little plot twists that were going on, which really kept you up on edge. Without saying a lot of spoilers, it's really hard, so I'm basically going to say to you guys, it's really worth going to see. The trailer does portray a really good portion of what you're going to be seeing, which I felt like in The Force Awakens, the trailer that they presented really wasn't the best, whereas this one's really good. It just has all the right feels for it, and I recommend people to go out and go and see it at the cinemas because it's just completely amazing. It is mind-blowing. It's a lot of action. The music is just on par. It's perfect. The acting was amazing. Even the humour was top notch. But that's all I'm going to say for that part, and I'm going to go to the spoiler part. So if you don't want to know anything about Star Wars: The Last Jedi that may reveal some spoilers, you probably don't want to watch this part. So here's your chance, guys, to now go away to another possible review of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, to avoid this particular spoiler. And if you haven't, then I apologize because I'm going to spoil things big time right here. Firstly, I'm really glad that Leia, the character herself, didn't actually die in the movie, because there were a lot of parts where I actually started to tear up. And if you know me in person, I'm not a person that cries a lot. There was a lot that happened in this movie. There were certain parts where I was expecting, for, all of a sudden to just stop and end there, it's led up to this big, massive action-packed part, and it's going to end, but it just kept going. It was like, wow, this is really great. They got into depth so much because, they've already done in the first movie, or the first installment, the building up of the characters, and, you know who the characters are, where they're going, what's possibly going to happen. People, this installment were believing that Rey was going to turn to the dark side. Thank God she doesn't. The whole thing was that she was trying to make Ben, aka Kylo Ren, turn to the light side because there's this connection between them in the Force, which was put because of Snoke, which I'm going to get to Snoke in a couple of seconds with a theory about him, because everyone's all, just everyone is so crazy about Snoke at the moment. I'll explain why. But, Snoke had, put a connection through to these two. It's very interesting because you see that there's this, there's a conflict, there's a dark and a light. And you can see there's conflict in Rey where she feels like she's going to turn to the dark side. And there's conflict within Ben where you feel like he's going to turn to the light side. Together they sort of, even each other out. And there's one really amazing epic battle scene where you see the two actually working together. And they're really great as, whether it be master or apprentice or anything, just a pair that work really great, that are force sensitive, is really good. I felt like that was something that was good. I feel like Ben, in a way, is sort of on the right tracks, because in this movie, Snoke does die. Which is hence the reason why a lot of people are really angry about Snoke, because Ben does kill Snoke in a particular scene, but you can see that now that Ben has taken over as Supreme Leader or whatever, that he's sort of going to not so much stick exactly to the dark side. Like, he does have a lot of anger, he has a lot of rage, like, you know, a teenager boy that doesn't get his way, just has a big temper tantrum. I'm glad that actually Ben, while I'm thinking on this, I'm glad that he actually got rid of the helmet, because I did feel like he was, in a way, trying to copycat Vader, which I didn't feel like was really bringing Kylo to a better viewpoint. Getting back to what I was saying before, is that, like, you can see that he's still very, very angry, but he's sort of, it's like he's in between. Like, he really doesn't want to do something really bad, but he sort of does. Towards the end of the movie, you know, he tries to kill Luke Skywalker because Luke is back, woohoo! And I actually want to say, I really love having Mark Hamill in this, because as a person, he's a very humorous person. He's like a comedian. He should have been a comedian. Throughout the scenes with Luke Skywalker, you do get a lot of humor with him. Like, he's not the typical Jedi, you know, he wasn't trained like, you know, the previous Jedis like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. He was slowly taught sort of things as what the Jedi did, but he sort of bent things to his own will, where it's like, you know, it's acceptable to be this way. But there are a lot of things, there's a lot of humor. Like, I know a lot of people have noticed this, that in Star Wars, they have slowly, you know, gotten more into the humor side, and this, I think, is what really annoyed people the most, was the humour in this, because there were some very serious moments where something was said that was a little bit humorous, and it felt like it was out of context for a lot of people. But for me, I actually thought it was really good, because it was breaking away from the emotional set of everything. Like, everyone was basically on edge with, you know, the fact that Leia was possibly going to die, which thank God she didn't. There are some moments there where, you know, where they went to find the code breaker. They actually showed these creatures that were being forced to race, and that was actually one of the moments I started to break down again, besides the possible death of Leia, because it's like, it's very emotional, it's very raw, it's right in your face, you know. And there's been a lot of controversy with horse racing. I think that's why they sort of got this idea. But, like, I love the humour that was being put into this. But now I think I'm going to move on to the raw topic of this review, which is going to be Snoke and my little theory, which, like, I know everything's still scrambled, but I do want to say, like, a lot of spoilers in this, because there's things that are really amazing that I really liked about this, was that, you know, they got into the action, they had that humour there. There was a particular spoiler, which I won't say. Let's just say there was a certain character that does die, which you were never expecting. So I'm not going to say that one there, because I don't want to spoil it that much for you guys. But my Snoke theory, which is the same theory that everyone's been carrying on for a while, people have said that Snoke was, you know, Jar Jar Binks or Darth Sidious reborn, but actually there is some form of evidence or proof that Snoke was the former master of Darth Sidious, aka Darth Plagueis. Now, if you didn't know, in, like, the past movies and also in books, Sidious has mentioned that, you know, he killed his previous master, but his previous master, as well as Darth Sidious, had both learned how to have control over life and death, hence how Anakin was born. And, like, you know, Sidious talks about, you know, promising Anakin, about, you know, being able to ensure that Padme can live, you know, prevent the whole death issue of Padme, and, you know, have a happy little family, but the thing is, Sidious really doesn't exactly know how to reanimate himself in a sense, whereas Darth Plagueis did. Whether that just be because of his species or whatever, I'm not sure. It is very obvious that Plagueis or Snoke, I'm just going to say Snoke at the moment because it's not 100%, but the reason why I am theorizing that Snoke is Plagueis or in some form of relation with that he may have been, like, related, like, you know, a brother or something towards Plagueis, is because there's a lot of humanoid characteristics about can I English yet? There's a lot of similar characteristics between Plagueis and Snoke, you know, like, similar in construction with their facial features, but they're not human. Like, they're very tall, there's a lot more difference in their fingertips, which you'll able to see in the movie up close. Plagueis and Snoke definitely are of the same species, I'm gonna say. Whether they are the exact same person, I don't know, but my theory here is that in a particular scene, Snoke actually says how he connected Rey and Ben through the Force, which then says, you know, that Snoke is very strong, he's very powerful. He's been around for a very, very long time because he knows certain things that have happened. He doesn't exactly think that Kylo Ren is better than Vader. So he is familiar with who Vader is. Obviously, because he's pretty old, he probably would have been around in the time of the rise of the Empire. But getting back onto topic here is that Snoke also said about, because Rey had this vision of Ben turning to the light side, that there was this perfect future. And Snoke actually says that it was him that put that in her mind. He also says that he can predict Ben's moves. Of course, Kylo Ren decided that he would do something in return, and involved poor old Snoke possibly getting a little bit of whip here, there, and there, everywhere. But that's something for you guys to go and watch in the movie. Basically, there was a lot of similar things that Snoke was saying that were very similar to Plagueis. Now, if you haven't read any of the books, there's actually one that's like Tarkin, entirely about Tarkin. There's also another one that's just entirely about Plagueis, which connects a lot of things like what was Snoke saying, that was connecting 100% towards Plagueis. I don't know, I'm gonna start talking English here, so basically, that's my little theory, is that there is a chance that Snoke may be related to Plagueis, or is formerly Plagueis, but for that to have happened, like, it's like, who knows, really? No one will ever really know, and that was one of the big things that everyone was super duper annoyed at, was, you know, the fact that we didn't find out who Snoke was. Personally, I didn't think that that was the important part. The important part was, for me, was not seeing Leia die, and not having Rey turn to the dark side. I also did feel that Finn would have turned, like, he'd have some sort of, you know, force sensitive thing. Honestly, don't know what my hands are doing, but, you know, they just go crazy like that sometimes. Because one of the things theorized was that Rey was actually Kenobi related, and that Finn was also Windu related. So which like, legit, we don't know. I don't think we'll ever get to know about who Rey's parents were, because as Ben says in the movie, your parents were just simple people. You always want, you know, to find out who they were, but in truth you already know who they are, because they were just people that tossed you aside to get a couple of drinks from the bar. So says Ben. But we don't know that, because there have been glitches in games with Kylo Ren and Rey, where actually Kylo Ren accidentally called Rey his cousin, which would have been really concerning, considering that there's a particular part in the movie where it's like you see Kylo Ren completely naked, well, almost naked. I should say, the upper chest is exposed, but he is wearing pants. And the thing is, like, you know, it's a very, like, whoa, how do you feel about this? You know, it's very, out there, to say the least. But, in a nutshell, despite all these massive spoilers I've been giving you guys, I hope it's a great movie, and that you go and see it, because it's super duper amazing. And I do apologize if I've spoiled it for you, because spoilering is, I don't know, I don't have words for spoilering. At the end of the video, I hope you guys have enjoyed my little theories. If you have watched it, hopefully you're not watching this and you haven't seen the Star Wars movie, because it's like heresy. How could you do this to us? I hope you do find this informational, enjoyable. Maybe you can come up with your own theories as to who Snoke was. Maybe he was really Jar Jar Binks in disguise. But that's just a little humor to be added into this, you know, thing. Anyway, thank you guys for being super duper amazing, and don't forget to stay